here at the NESPA show in Atlantic City, and I'm with Stan Resnick, co-founder of the Poolside Tech, the Attendant, and now y'all have the Mini. I got a few questions.
All right.
And you're the man. I mean, you created this beast. And
let's see if I can pass the quiz.
What is standard warranty on the Poolside Tech?
So we've upgraded from taillight warranty to now a 3-year. Basically, it's 2 years parts and labor and 1 year parts.
And to do warranty on your products, do y'all have only certain people, or can the installer do the warranty?
So what we're obviously, you know, as a newer entry into the space, what we're trying to do is we're really inviting a lot of our dealers to become warranty stations.
Okay.
And so there's a whole training process that we run them through, which is a little bit more involved in terms of, you know, kind of the hardware repair side of things. But it is very straightforward. Once you sign up, you know, we'll supply all the training, right, and a very easy way to get spare parts. You know, just reach out to our support team. We really do try to give every one of our servicers an opportunity to become a warranty station. You know, I really believe that the best way to do right by the customer is to have the same people that did the installation do the warranty. But obviously, it's also purely optional. If you don't want to do that, you know, we'll be happy to get you in touch with, you know, a warranty station somewhere in the area.
All right. Your online support, online and phone support. What options do people have to go get support if they are having an issue with programming or whatever with the system?
So that's a really good question. So we obviously try to first and foremost give you good tools in the application so that you don't have to contact support.
It is a pretty smart system.
But if you you know, if you're stuck and you know, perhaps our tools in the app weren't good enough, you know, phone support is really a good entry point. We also have online web chat as well that you can use right in the app, in fact. But you know, phone support is great because what sets us apart a little bit from what folks have been used to is the ability for the support team to remotely log in, so we can see everything about the system that you're setting up. We see what you've got programmed. You know, our objective is obviously to get you to a happy place as quickly as possible. And that typically translates into, you know, we can even program the whole thing for you remotely, right? If you so choose. But where it really, I think, shines is, you know, when you call, our objective is, you know, we deem that the only acceptable time to pick up the phone call is less than 30 seconds, right? So that's what we measure our call center by. Once we talk to you, you know, rather than having the person on the phone explain what they've got going on, it's very helpful for our techs to be able to just remotely log into the systems and see what's going on, right? You can very rapidly troubleshoot and you know, hopefully get the customer squared away. You live and die by that customer experience, right? In the end, I think both me and Bob and Jen believe that we are. It's easy to get a customer to try an installation, right? But you know, they're only going to come back to you if they had a good time. Right, if it went well. And so, you know, we really try to invest into the support.
All right, I appreciate that. All right, as far as training for it, somebody's never installed one, what's y'all's typical training process?
So a couple different things that we're going to do. There's a whole suite of just online tools that you can use to go schedule a webinar, right? We do one-on-one sessions with folks. But what I personally prefer is our kind of guided training. So for your first system, we will almost always fly one of our trainers out to do the installation with you, right? Wow. And they will guide you through the whole process, soup to nuts. You know, all of our trainers are licensed electricians. So, you know, we will take you from, and not, you know, sometimes you might have your electrical subs, right? You might have a different startup crew. So we'll take the whole team through everything from, you know, mounting the box on the wall to handing it over to the homeowner.
If there are issues, if there ever is issues, there's like what histories, logs for people that have gone in and changed things and stuff like that. That's one of the questions that gets brought up in the pro group, that, you know, the client saying, I didn't turn the heater on.
People messing with things, yes. And look, I mean, sometimes there could be a multitude of parties. So, you know, from the very get-go, we wanted to make sure that there's no ambiguity in finger pointing. And so um, for better or worse, we track every action that is performed in the app. We save every configuration change. We track, every time the homeowner presses a button. So it's actually easily accessible in the logs in our app, and every single action has a name behind it as to who done it. And the idea is, of course, to enable the service pro to see what the homeowner is doing, right? Maybe they're pressing the wrong button, right? You need to coach them, right? Certainly we've seen more confrontational situations get resolved where people get accused of doing stuff they didn't do.
Right.
It's really nice to have a paper trail of what really
So
transpired.
you have a complete history.
Yes, we store 1 year's worth of every single thing that ever happened.
All right, that's impressive. All right, communication with your system. Some systems are 2.4, some are 5.0. What on the Wi-Fi and Bluetooth? What all forms of communication is there with your system?
So we really try to make sure that you've got kind of all the avenues covered. On the Wi-Fi side of things, you've got dual band, so we can do 2.4 and 5 gigahertz.
Oh, you do both?
Yep, Wi-Fi, obviously, show like this, 2.4 gigahertz is going to be oversaturated, and so
Right.
5 gigahertz is really the way to go, especially in dense subdivisions where you have a lot of Wi-Fi kind of on top of each other. We do give you an ability to connect an Ethernet jack, right? If you have hardwire, honestly, if you can, you should, right? No beating hardwires. And then we have Bluetooth 5 radios in there as well. So we use it for a whole variety of different things, talking to various appliances and devices. Initial setup, so all that is part of.
And that's all standard on the system.
That's built in there. We don't have any external contraptions that you need to buy. Every single system, the big Attendant or the smaller Mini that we just released, they have the same radios.
Now it doesn't have an antenna, so the antenna is just built in.
Well, it does have the antennas, right? But the antenna array is internal.
Okay.
Right? So you don't have anything sticking out.
Remotes. Is there any remotes, or is it only the app and the display on the?
So we do support remotes. You've got full support for almost all the classic spa side remotes, whether it's your 4-button classic spa side remote. There's a flavor, I think, from a bunch of different manufacturers on those. We also support the RS-45 based 10-button remotes, right, with little displays that show temperatures and such. So that's available as well. We do the Pentair and the Jandy, if I'm not mistaken, for those.
So you can leave the spa side remote and just hook it in.
Absolutely.
And it communicates with.
Well, look, I mean, a lot of times these things are kind of enshrined, right, into your pool, and you can't take them out easily, even if you wanted to. So rather than have this,
why not use it?
Yeah, exactly. So. Would I put one on for the money that is charged for those things? Probably not.
Right.
But if you already have one, by all means, you can use them.
Okay. So, and is that wireless remotes too, or just the hardwired remotes?
So the hardwired ones are the ones that we support today. And then if you really want something more, like a classic on-wall type of a situation, we have a kit that basically allows you to wall mount an iPad, right? And we really like that the best. It's got a much nicer screen. It's faster, more responsive than most built for purpose, dedicated pool controllers, and also less expensive, to be frank. So,
and that'd just be basically like having your display.
Exactly. It's just like the display.
It would just show the screen
on the system, and you basically put it into a special mode where only one app is running, which is the Poolside app. So you can't exit out of it. It always shows on screen. It's a really nice integrated experience like that. And,
I like that. I wasn't even aware of that.
And obviously the cases are available waterproof as well if you want outdoor mounting.
All right. Your system. And again, these are questions coming from other pros out there. Is there a service mode, or what is the process? Like, say I'm working on the system and I need to lock it out and put it in service mode or something like that. I know y'all's is a little different.
It is. So one of the things that obviously we have a service mode, which is in many ways similar to other service modes that folks are used to. You're going to have basically all the schedules are going to stop, all the devices are going to be turned off, and then you can have full manual control over any device, right? So normally where the attendant doesn't let you do something like turn on the heater without running the pump.
Right. Right.
In service mode, you're in complete control. You can do whatever you like, right? If you want to try and turn on the heater while the pump isn't running, you can. And
So you do have a service mode in the because there's people saying you don't.
no, we absolutely do have a service mode. Now, one of the things that we've actually had asked over the last 6 to 8 months or so is the ability to create lockouts to the service mode. So one of the challenges with service mode, as classically implemented, is that very frequently a technician will put the system into service mode and then leave, and then have to come back because now you have a sad homeowner, right? And so we, to be honest with you, we see that a lot, and so
Yes.
we do allow for a remote service mode exit, but we have had several of our customers ask us for a lockout feature, and so actually that's releasing in February. And what you're going to be able to do is to determine who can exit the service mode, right? So you're going to be, right as you enter service mode, you can say, hey, I want anybody to be able to exit service mode, or I want just me to be able to exit service mode, or folks from my company to be able to remote exit service mode.
So in the field, we can protect the tech.
Yes,
Okay.
correct. So the strategies will be only from the local panel, right? If you don't want any remote service mode exit,
Right.
only the same technician that initiated the service mode, and anybody, right? And hopefully we can have everybody find the right balance as to, do I want to drive back if I forgot, right? Or am I really worried that the homeowner is going to turn the pump on while I've got to disassemble or something like that?
All right. I just learned something. I appreciate that. But you're saying that releases in February.
That releases in February, and of course,
And it's
as with anything, it's going to just be updated into the fleet.
Yeah, it ain't like something we have to go out and program it in
That's
or
right.
anything like that. What VS pumps and what smart systems out there will y'all communicate with?
So I would claim everything, at least as far as if you keep walking around the show floor it goes. We really work quite hard to make sure that our customers have all the choice, right? So whether it's a pump or a salt system or a heater, we work to add support. And now what's really nice is we have vendors coming to us even before the product releases, and working with us to make sure that product is in the catalog by the time it hits distribution. Obviously, it varies vendor by vendor as to how proactive they are and whether they work with us or whether we end up having to reverse engineer their protocols. Without naming names, not everybody wants to cooperate, but as hopefully our customers have seen, we are quite rapid at adding anything new that hits the market into the catalog. And as we just talked about, it's going to get percolated into the fleet over a few weeks through automatic updates.
And we're talking complete controllability and diagnostics?
That's right. So we always implement the entire thing. So if you bought, a Pentair IntelliFlow 3 pump, we're going to give you the ability to use the flow metering that they've got to control flow rates or speeds based on that. In fact, I would say with some vendors' equipment, we will give you more capabilities than their native automation systems even. So
now, as far as the smartness, the big thing about your system is how smart it is, calculating flows, calculating heat times and stuff like that. I know it, but real quickly, and I don't expect you to go into everything, but what all like recommendations for the homeowner, dosing, you do have as far as like sense and dispense type testing and dosing, y'all have a module that's available. It's not standard, correct?
Well, so we have some SKUs that ship with it and some that do not. We do try to give our customers a kind of an a la carte path, also an ability to upgrade a system in the field if they want to with maybe you start out with just automation, then you add chemistry, automation later. That's obviously up to the customer. But the kind of core ideas behind the product are to reduce the chores and to make things easy, right? And so some of these questions that you're going to be asked in almost all pools, what am I spending on my energy? How long things are going to take to arrive at the temperature that I want? What flow rates or, what filtration schedules should I have, right? The system is going to try to really automate as much of that as possible. And I don't want to set the impression that, it's going to be completely autopilot, but we can take a significant majority of all the things that pertain to kind of maintaining the pool and make them automatic, right? And some of the things that we can, if you're visiting our booth here, we've got a lot of new sensors and capabilities.
Yeah, y'all now talk directly to it. It's kind of an add-on flow sensor.
That's right.
Where we get actual realistic flow in the system, not what's calculated by
a pressure sensor.
By flow. It's not an estimated, it's an actual.
That's right. So we've partnered with H2 Flow, and we believe they have the best, most robust flow meter in the marketplace today. It's also probably one of the most cost-effective ones out there, and it enables, coupled with automation, it enables all sorts of use cases that are unique, right? Nobody else is currently doing this, in the sense that, we're going to actually manage your turnover rates, right? Rather than forcing the pool professional to perform some non-trivial hydraulic calculations and trying to, even if you got the hydraulic calculation right, instead of trying to adjust for the filter getting dirty, for example, as it gets dirtier, you can just let the computer do it, essentially.
Now, salt systems, your system, all right, it doesn't have any on-board salt, correct? You cannot have like a salt option come with the system.
So to be clear, we will control and operate any salt system on the market today. Now, some of our competitor automation systems take the power center for their brand-specific salt system, and they house it inside of, let's say, the same enclosure where the automation system is.
Well, they got the transformer and all that stuff.
Exactly. Obviously, because we're universal, we can't do that, right? They have different power requirements, different voltages, some very vendor-specific stuff going on. So, we will have something really neat coming out for the salt system that we're launching in 25 towards later in the year. But for all the other systems on the market, you would just install a
standalone wall mount,
a standalone power center specific to the cell that you're putting in.
All right, but then y'all communicate with anybody's salt system.
That's right. And if you've got chemical sensors, they are used to actually drive the duty cycles and make sure that you don't over-chlorinate your pools.
Okay, this is kind of a thing. I always hate to bring it up because I like you guys so much. There's no power center available with your system.
The most controversial thing about Poolside Tech. Look, I think that we've obviously started the trend, and if you go back, a decade, right? The reason that you had this notion of an electrical panel with a computer that automates your pool together, it was purely an optimization to save time wiring stuff onto relays, right? There's really no other redeeming quality to it, because it makes a bunch of other things harder and worse. It attempts to give like a single one-size-fits-all load center to every pool, right? Which tends to either be too big or too small for a lot of projects. It doesn't let you have internal radios, so you have all these separate contraptions hanging out on the wall for with antennas. And here as we sit here in 2025, the number of things that connect to relays has gone to almost zero, right? In fact, we actually have customers asking us for a system with no relays now, because on a modern pool, there's nothing sitting on a relay. So the whole reason for why these things were combined has essentially disappeared. But all the detriments and all the reasons not to combine them are still here. So we've never done a load center together with the automation system, and if you go walk around the show floor, you'll see that all of our competitors are now following suit.
Everybody's loose. But now, if like say I'm pulling one of the competitors off, or replacing one of the competitors' control systems that has a load center with the Poolside Tech, the Attendant, or the Mini, y'all have a low voltage.
We do have what we call a conversion kit, and so that allows you to essentially keep whatever legacy automation system you had purely as a load center, right, and save yourself, a fair bit of time and effort on electrical side of the installation, and you can just run low voltage relay control wires from the Attendant into whatever legacy system you have for relays, and then everything else is just low voltage and moves over very rapidly.
It actually goes pretty smooth. I was a little afraid of it. I've done it a few times, and it's like just all them wires, but man, it goes together. It fits together
look,
so well.
Our internal techs can typically do one in less than an hour.
Yeah, it really is that good. Chemical dosing, we kind of covered that. It's available. It's not standard, but you can buy the package with it, or you can add it later with the components.
So remember with us, if you have chemical sensing, you can get dosing essentially for free included. So the probes and we're one of the only NSF 50 listed systems in the residential space.
Your system is NSF 50, right?
That's right. So, we initially did this for commercial customers. Obviously, they really want to make sure that inspectors don't have questions. But moreover, there's a reliability aspect to it. And one of the things that drove us to do our own sensor suite, for example, was because a lot of the sensors that we tried that existed in the residential space simply didn't have the reliability that you needed to have this be a cost-effective solution. I really believe that chemical monitoring, and especially if you're using these sensor inputs for dosing, it only reduces chores if it's reliable, right? Historically, we've seen a lot of people get frustrated because they would spend more time futzing with the automation system than it saved them. There comes a point where you might as well just test the water and manually add chemicals.
Because of the extra duties involved with having them.
Exactly. And so what we've really worked hard on is to make sure that, you can have something that you can trust over, months to years, right? And make sure that it's reliable enough to actually then dose chemicals, control your salt systems, and, manage your pH.
All right. The only thing I really got left, unless it's something you would like to talk about, is the options available. Like we have the typical Attendant, and we can get that in 2 relays, 4 relays, 6 relays, or 8 relays.
That's right.
But it's always capable to handle 8 if you add stuff later.
That's right. You can buy a 2 relay system and just pop in, an extra relay, and you'll have a 3 relay system, right? If that's what you need.
Because the board that's
not
standard
can
handle as much as we can. As far as actuators, we can control 5 actuators.
Yeah. So the big Attendant will do up to 5 actuators, up to 8 relays. You can do 2 independent bodies of water, so you can have 2 sets of chemistry probes on a single system with our dual chemistry board option.
Okay.
Obviously, if you have like a separate pool spa, that's really nice and quite useful. You've got 4 of what we call bus ports, so that's where your digitally communicating devices go. That's these guys right here. Up to 5 temperature sensor ports, and they're used for. We call them temperature sensor ports, but you can actually use them for things like, for example, water level sensors as well.
Right.
And we didn't mention this, but water leveling also comes along free for the ride. So any one of these systems, if you take a water level sensor, we will do your autofills and electronically report, how much water we filled and so forth.
And it will monitor.
Yeah, correct. We don't like to use.
We can meter it.
Yes. So you can meter it. We will tell you how many gallons we added to a pool. We don't like to use the word leak detection because it's a fairly loaded term.
Right.
But we can definitely give you some hints that perhaps more water is being added than we would expect.
Now, I know y'all talk to the weather channel and all that, and y'all monitor weather. So it will actually calculate what your evaporation should have been without waterfalls and everything
So
else.
stay tuned. That is something that's going to be coming. In the other ports here are what we call heater ports. So they are basically your low voltage relays. So that's what you would connect your legacy kind of dry contact controlled heaters, chillers, heat pumps into. Also water solenoids, and any kind of contact switches. And then 5 input ports for things like remote control buttons, flow switches, pool spa covers. So all of that is covered. You can have up to 5 of those. And then just 2 weeks ago, we launched the Mini. So this is the smaller system. The powerful thing there.
And that is small. I mean, that's what, 12 by 12?
Well, they actually, if you show them side by side, you can hopefully appreciate the size difference. So the Mini is same software, same platform, so you get all the same capabilities. It can do all the chemistry management. There's really nothing that you give up except for the touchscreen. Right. So the Mini is entirely controlled and managed by the app. Obviously, you have some mode buttons here that you can program, but that's not the normal use case that we expect. 2 relays. It ships with support for 3 actuators, and then you get 2 bus ports from 4, and then you get 2 heater ports, 2 temperature sensor ports. And
still same capability, could do 2 bodies of water.
You can actually do more than 2 bodies of water. So think with Attendant, it's really better to think in terms of devices you're trying to connect rather than bodies of water. So, fundamentally, you could run 4 or 6 bodies of water with this thing if you had like fountains or something like that. What's also new about the Mini is we introduced these expansion ports. So these are just USB-C ports. And what you're going to be able to do is you can stack up to 4 of these Minis together, right? So if you needed a system with more relays or more temperature sensor ports or more valve actuator ports, you can just add an expansion module on, and it's a less expensive. It's going to look just like this box. The part number is ATT-Mini-EXP for expansion module. It's obviously less expensive. Does not have all the compute boards inside, right? But it has all the same interface boards, and you can basically scale your system to be any.
And would that be like a master-slave scenario?
No, actually, it's not even. To you in the app, it just looks like one system that now has more ports. So there's really no.
I like that.
No master-slave to worry about. Obviously, stop by. We'd love to show you more.
Y'all going to all the shows. Y'all cover the regional shows. And
so we'll be in Houston next this year, and we have a crew going to the Western show. We'll be at the Southeast show in Nashville next week, and
everything under the sun in Orlando,
and in Florida for sure. And then obviously there's all the buying group shows. So UAG, Carecraft, we've got good representation there as well.
All right, Stan, I appreciate your time, man.
Of course,
I didn't know it was going to run that long, but there's just so much to talk about your system. I swear. All right, appreciate it, buddy.
All right, take care.
Take care.
See ya.